Welcome back to another episode of A Gift from Adversity. My name is Juri. I'm your host. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today we have a guest. His name is Michael Nunes, and it has been a pleasure getting to know him. Before I introduce him, I want to introduce my book. This is A Gift from Adversity, which is a book that I published in 2020. And this one is subtitled Overcoming Sexual Abuse, Domestic Violence, and Bullying and Homelessness. After I experienced all of this, I decided to write a book to tell my story, but not only that, to encourage others to speak out and share that their adversity, they have a tools and gift that can be saved. So thank you so much, Michael, for coming to Gift from Adversity today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. I appreciate it.
So, Michael, can you please introduce yourself to our audience, who you are and what you do?
Yeah, my name is Michael Nunes. I'm a Brockton resident. I ran in the past for city councilor at large. I'm a small business owner and I do real estate on the side.
Great. How can people find out about you? Do you have a website? Do you have a social media handle that you can share?
Yeah, my social media is just my name. I only use Facebook and Instagram right now. It's just Michael Nunes. Instagram is a same Michael Nunes with the underscore before Michael and after Michael. Right now, actually, I do actually just started up my Facebook page for my business is Dad's Delivery at Door Services, where we provide transportation right now in the Northeast region. We do moving, full service, and we do commercial moving as well.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. So let's dive into the adversity. So can you tell our audience what was your adversity?
My adversity when growing up is more of financial adversity. My parents, like most immigrants, struggled to make the funds meet. So it was check by check, working two jobs. I actually had to assist them in their second job where they're going clean, you know, dealerships, automobile dealerships, just to make it by. So it was really hard from that adversity that we had to suffer from the financial side.
And how did it affect you growing up?
It affected me because I couldn't get the stuff that we always wanted. We see other kids with video games, um, nice clothes. I mean, I'm not saying that we didn't have clothes and stuff, but we was more on a limit. Maybe we get school shopping beginning of the school year, then Christmas time. That's about it. But there's a lot of kids my parents had too, so that made it more difficult for the financial part.
How many kids did they have?
My father has like I think he has like seven kids himself, and my mom has three. So well, six plus three from his side. So my mom has six kids. It was six. There was always six growing up in the house. So it made it difficult. Christmas time, Thanksgiving, all the holidays celebrate made it very difficult. But we managed. We're here. We're all still alive, happy and well. Can't complain now.
You see. So when you were growing up as a so you said your parents are immigrant,
Yes, they came from the Cape Verde Islands, the west coast of Africa.
and did that kind of affect your childhood?
Yes, a little bit in school. They had a language barrier. So it's like homework. We didn't ask them for help. I asked my older brother, my older sister, if it was available. And if there wasn't, I just had to figure out how to do it myself. It's not like I could go and ask them, oh, how you do this English work or how you do this history work when they came, from the Cape Verde Islands. They didn't go to school here, so that made it a big issue.
Yeah. So it's Sometimes, I remember when I came to America and I didn't know English at all, it was very struggle what was going on.
Yeah, it becomes it's very struggling, like you just said. If you don't know the major language spoken in this country, it's hard to just get by. Finding jobs that you could get if you're not speaking English and anything like that. So with their jobs very limited. It was factory work, warehouse work at minimum wage. Had to pay the mortgage. That's one thing that I appreciate from my father. He purchased his house young, so it helped out rather than paying rent. So that was really a blessing there.
So you started to work at early age.
Yeah, yeah. I always had like entrepreneurship in me. I helped them. It was only on the weekends because I had school, but I helped them at the dealership clean up. Sometimes it was weekdays, but it was early, right after school. I'd come and help them just to get it done. Go home, school, work. Uh, then I was thinking I was like 14 years old. I just started walking around with a lawnmower trying to make my own money, cutting grass and stuff. Then I started working at 16 years old at Walgreens in Brockton, and I was there for quite some time.
So being kind of independent and having a job that early where other kids maybe didn't have to work that hard on top of the schoolwork, how did it like make you feel like frustration, maybe not fair type of feeling, if you remember?
Well, I was actually more frustrated that I couldn't get a job, a decent paying job when I was 14, 15 until I had to wait till I was 16. And that's when actually things was better off for me. Those the work school permits, you had to get one of those. So those limits of hours I could work, it really didn't affect my school as much. It actually helped because I could purchase my own clothes. I could feel more comfortable in my own skin. I have money. I go to school. When I had to buy things, I buy it. If I had a project, I buy it myself. So my parents, I don't have to depend on my parents no more. So they had one less to worry about of a child, financially wise at least.
Yeah, it's tough when you see especially other kids having the privileges and you don't, and you have to work extra hard.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. It's one thing, but like I said, I didn't take it for granted. I appreciate it. Walgreens really helped me out. I was there for 3 years before I left, and it was a stepping stone for me. Which now, I moved on, of course, but now I have my own little business. I make a lot more money. It showed how important money is in American life. Without money, you're not gonna do nothing in this land. You need money for everything.
So it's for you more frustration that you couldn't get the job, not like comparing to other kids and their privileges.
Yeah, it was very frustrating. I tried to get work. Nobody wanted to hire 14 years old. Um, there's a lot of risk with it. It's not worth it for someone to hire a 14-year old because the company had to follow strict rules and regulation. Which the state implicated. Certain hours we could work. I think at that time it was only like 20 hours a week part time. So they didn't have space for that. They had limited space for those positions. So when I was 16, I still had restrictions and stuff. 8 hour can't work more than 8 hour days or 36-hour weeks. But I managed to get by and do multiple jobs. I had Walgreens and I did my things on the side. Just try to get some funds for myself.
And how were you doing with your homework and then after school activities? I'm sure you have to give up some after school activities and sports and stuff.
Yeah, for me, honestly, I was never into the sports stuff. But activities, after school activities. Yeah, there was no more hanging around with my friends, doing any of that stuff. Anything after school was just school, ride the bus, go home, and that was it. Just school work, and that was about it for some for quite some time. That was it. Yeah.
How did you do with school grades and stuff?
Average. I'm not gonna say I was a great student, but I was average. I passed. I never stayed back, so I'm happy about that. Graduated on time, and I did some college, but like I said, I was suffering from the financial part. So I had to leave school and just start my own business. I always plan on going back, but we'll see what happens.
So you said you started college.
Yeah, I started college. I did some architecture, and some civil engineering. So I still have it in the back of my head like it was yesterday. So I still remember a lot of stuff. I could just go and pick up where I left off. I think I have like about 40 credits, which is enough just for an associate degree. But I never even got that. But I do plan and hope to go back one day.
Yeah, it's very tough when you don't have the financial buffer.
Yeah, very tough. Yeah, college was very tough for me. That's where it got serious. When high school is one thing, but college work is a whole different. To give you a project, you got to complete it, especially the architecture. To give you a project, something that would take me probably 2 weeks in high school, they expected it in 3 days. So I'm like, Jesus, I got to spend hours, 8 hours each day on this. That's a whole work shift. Um, so my job position was limited. It was more like an Uber driver, which I did do. But then you have to keep working to pay your car note because you have a car to pay. So every time you're working, it takes away from your school, your schoolwork. So it was very struggling. I was at a very low point in my life when I was in school and in college. At that, I was very struggling with it.
So you decide to drop out.
Yeah, I don't like saying drop out because I do plan on going back. I just said, I suspended myself maybe from school or from college, temporary leave.
Sure. Yeah, it's it's very hard. So just to share my story, when I became homeless in Tokyo, obviously I had no money to go to college or anything. I was just working. And I remember when I got a scholarship to come to Berkeley College of Music, it was some financial visa for as an international student because we are restricted to work in the States as an international student on F1 visa. So you have to show at least a few years of financial stability. And I didn't have financial support, so I had to keep saving it to qualify me to be able to get a visa. So then when I came here, I could not work as a student visa status. So last semester, I ran out of money and I took the cheapest flight to Japan and I worked probably 20 hours a day and I saved like $2,000, $3,000 and it paid off the last portion of the tuition. It was very hard.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. That's difficult because I actually remember um, some of my friends was in the same situation. It was from Lebanon on a student visa, and they was always struggling. And I didn't know that. I'm like, well, just get a job. He's like, oh, we can't. We're not allowed to. I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird. Why would they do that? But that's just the laws. I'm like, oh man, should not be like that. It makes it difficult. It's like, hey, come to school from your country, but you can't work. And like that's kind of an oxymoron. Makes no sense. But hey, who am I to write the laws, right?
You have no idea why, but you are allowed to work on campus with minimum wage,
Yeah, yeah. The work study.
but that's only 20 hours a week.
Yeah, that's just probably enough for your meals.
I don't know why we're not allowed to work outside the campus.
Yeah, I can't answer that one either. I can't. Yeah.
But I think to have this conversation, when you have less privilege in your life and you don't have that financial buffer from your parents, and then you as young self start to have to work at early age and then establish yourself. I think there's some mental health. I mean, like to me, it was more of inferiority complex. I was comparing myself a lot with other kids my age, where they had more privilege to go to college right away, had car, and I didn't. So, did you have some mental block or maybe struggle in your head comparing to maybe other kids who are privileged than you?
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not gonna lie, say I did not. I think most of the kids, especially in the school I was going to, the Boston Architectural College, a majority of the students are immigrants, and they were struggling a lot, and they did the same. They compared themselves, like with other students. But then there were some immigrant students that their parents are very, very well off, and their projects always turn out the best because they had more money to spend on the materials to build these projects. And I'll try to block it, but human nature, um, it is what it is. We all do it. We all, you know, if Todd across the street buys a boat, it feels like you want a boat now. Um, that's how it is. But I try to block it off. I try to do the best I can, you know, and just tell myself it is what it is. But it was difficult. It was difficult in college where I had, I didn't have such a good grade, not because of my skills, but because of my funds. And I think a lot of people wouldn't understand that if they're not coming from my aspect of life. It's very difficult.
Now, when we're having a conversation, I start to think about my youth. Then I was struggling with money, like I still do, but not that level of being homeless and had no money whatsoever. And that is just devastating. And you work, but you can only work so much. And it makes you feel a certain way about yourself.
Yeah, that is true. When you limit, like I said earlier, when I was doing the Uber drive, you make good money, but then you got to stop because you have 6 hours before school to finish your work. Then you go and do your work, you take up the whole 6 hours, and school is the next class is another hour. So now you're tired, you're sleeping in class. Teachers say, wake up. If you can't wake up, you got to leave. So it's just a revolving wheel that just, effect after effect, and it just keeps. It's the same thing, day in day out. You got to work, school. You have to sleep. So it was hard to manage time management. I think time management was worse than the money management in my aspect when I was in college. It was backbreaking for me.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. Now, do you mind to touch base a little bit of your adversity that happened um, about your cousin? That's how I met you at Lover and Gordon's Love Life Now Foundation Gala. You're one of the guest speakers. Would you mind to share our audience about that adversity?
Yeah, I'll share. No worries. So you know the story. Let me just start from the top. Larissa Barrows, my first cousin, moved out from Massachusetts to Florida at the age of 3. She was raised and she grew up in Florida and Ponciana area, about 40 minutes from Orlando. Um, she's a great student, a great person overall. She helped out as much as she can. And unfortunately, 2 weeks before graduation and prom, and a week before Mother's Day, Larissa Barrows was killed by her estranged boyfriend in her own house while holding her nephew in one arm and tried to defend herself from the estranged boyfriend. Um, he did kill himself after he killed Larissa Barrows. She was dead on the scene. It was just, but before that, of course, there was some abuse going on. He set a car on fire. He would go and stalk her, and he played his part as acting like he was the perfect boyfriend, and he apologized before. The worst thing is that he apologized about what he was doing to the mother a week before he killed Larissa and shot her. You know, it was just a sad story overall because Larissa she was first in the class before all the stalking happened. She had to drop to three. It just took a toll on her. She had to go to court. It was very stressful for her. She was not used to this type of situations. She never lived this type of situation. Um, it was just sad because just overall, she was, going to college, full scholarship, Florida State University, and all that was just taken so fast away from her, so young, 17 years old, turning 18, and just took away from her. So I just, at Laverne's White Ribbon Gala, I just wanted to speak out and show a woman and or girls in this world that that's not right. The abuse, verbally, mentally, whatever it is, physically, that there are men out here that you know will help you and protect you from these other crazy men that try to hurt or kill women or girls. To leave your your relationship if you're in danger. I know it's easier to say than done because men tend to lie a lot. Say, I'm sorry, and the girls tend to believe this men, these men. Um, but at the end, it's just a facade that they're showing, but the inside is all lies. And before the truth really reveals itself, get protected and leave the relationship if you are in that type of situation. But it's not. It's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is very heartbreaking, and I'm very sorry for the loss.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So I want to shift our conversation to the tools that you use to overcome these adversities. So let's break it down to the first part of the adversity, which was the financial um, struggle, and you happen to start to work at really early age and be independent, and had the struggles. What are the tools that you use to overcome these challenges?
Yeah, one of the tools that I use was education. I educated myself how to open up a business, how to run a business, and how to make sure the business stays open and maintain it. I know how to get EIN. I know how to get my business registered with the states, any state, and and what comes with the business. For example, trucking industry. There's a lot more to it. You need a motor carrier number. You need a Department of Transit number, a Department of Transportation number, and you need to make sure that you stay in compliance with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And this is all the stuff I educated myself on to make sure that my business stays active in compliance in order for me to create or generate funds for me and my family whenever needed. So education is power, essentially. If you are very educated and smart, you have a lot of power because your mind brings more than you can ever imagine.
That is very empowering. Thank you so much for sharing that, Michael. And I know you started your own business and you ran for the council. How did running for the political aspect maybe helped you to advocate for other people or overcome your adversities as maybe the tools to be the voice for others?
Yeah, well, like I said, I was born and raised in Brockton. I'm 30 years old. I never moved out, actually, except for 1 year. I did go to New Bedford for 1 year. But out of the 29 years, I didn't see no change in Brockton, and Brockton really wasn't getting the fair share in funds from the state. So I wanted to run and make a difference, not only for me, but for my whole community and everyone that lives in here. So I thought running for council is a way to do it, so I could be the voice of the people, and try to get what is needed for the city, funds, um, proper tools to educate others, because like I said, education is power, um, and make sure that we have the right necessities in the city to live a good life for each individual person in the city.
So thank you so much for sharing that. Now let's actually move on to your cousin's death by domestic violence. I know it affected you in many ways, and now you're advocating for her at an event like Lauren Gordon's Love Life Now Foundation Gala. For you, what are the tools that you're using to be an advocate for your cousin?
The tool that I'm using is my voice, or honestly, just my voice. Speak out. If I see something wrong in a relationship, I try to speak out. Um, not trying to be very hostile about the situation, because sometimes I might think that someone is in a bad relationship. If you see a girl with a bruise all the time, her face is always cut, and stuff like that, you might assume that she's in a very bad relationship. Um, so you got to know how to come out and address that situation with that person and be like, hey, listen, if you have any issues, any problems, or anything like that, we're here to help. And the other two is just being involved with Laverne, like you said, at the White Ribbon Gala, just speaking out and letting other women know that there are men like me out here that will help and try to help you as well, to fight domestic violence. And whenever I could just volunteer my time with Laverne, I'll try to do that. And those are just the tools I use, but overall, it's mostly my voice.
Well, thank you so much, Michael, for saying that. So the last question that I have is a gift that came from the adversity. So would you share with our audience what maybe the gifts that came from it?
Yeah, the gift that came is just independence. I'm very independent now. For me, living through the struggle and realizing what I need to do to accomplish my goals in life, made me very independent. I don't have to depend on no one, which is a good thing. You feel good about yourself. You come a long way from struggling, from having maybe 6 shirts to wear a week to having 50, 40 shirts you can change from. A couple pair of shoes. My hair is not cut right now, but I'm very busy. But usually, I have my hair cut, my beard trimmed, and you feel good. You feel good about yourself, and when you feel good about yourself, you release good into the world. So it's a good thing. So that's one of the gifts. And another gift is meeting people throughout these bad situations. I met Laverne, I met Caroline, and I met you at that event. And I follow you on Facebook. You gave me a lot of good things from Facebook, like that movie event sign up. I did. So there's always good things that come from it, and I appreciate everything that you do, Laverne does, and Caroline does.
Well, that's so nice of you to acknowledge that. Thank you so much. And I feel the same way a lot of adversity that I went through, it led me to this podcast and then gave me a reason to meet somebody like you, a lot of inspirational people. But not only that, I feel going through adversity, as tough as it is, it gives you, like you said, independency and also compassion and understanding what they really feel like, and then be able to be there for them, and to the point that when you are established, you can leverage somebody's lives and see that you can be the voice for them, and you can bring them to the other side of the adversity.
Yeah, for sure. 100% right about that. Um, like I said, it's an honor, even though there's always good things that come from the bad. I never understood that when I was younger, but the more older I get, you start realizing, oh yes, that is a true statement. It's very true, as you can see.
It's very hard when you're in the middle of the storm to see the other side of the good day, like the bright side. But you and I know through this conversation, which I truly appreciate, that people who may be going through the struggle right now, people like us who came out of it and then learned something and feeling this gap, you can get through it. Michael, thank you so much again. And before you leave, I would like you to give some advice or encouragement word to the audience who might be struggling in their life right now.
Yeah, my word of encouragement it will be just don't give up. Don't give up on anything you have. Have hope. No one's perfect, um, especially not me. I was at a point in my life and I felt hopeless. I wanted to just give up, and I was like, you know what? Just gotta continue, stay strong, because there's always someone in this world that needs you more than you need them, and someone that always will love you. So don't feel like you're useless or you're hopeless because that's there's someone in this world that really admires you, really appreciate what you were doing in this life that you have. So just try to stay strong. I know, like I said, it's easier said than done, but for a person like me, come from very hard times in my life, from some injuries I had, what left me scars. I felt very, down about myself. Um, at a point, I didn't even want to go, in public to the beaches and stuff. I came over everything. I came over it. And I feel real good about myself. I'm always happy. You know, I try to stay happy as much as I can. I don't let things stress me because at the end of the day, you have one life. And I tell people all the time, money. I watched the movie Blow, and the father always told them, the money's not real, and I never understood that. I was like, of course, money's real. You need money, but all this, I'm starting making more money. I realize, yeah, money's not real because I got my niece, I got my nephew. They love me. They have no idea. I don't have to buy them anything. They'll love me just for the person I am, uh, you know, and all that. Um, so I just tell people, just stay strong. Try to get by whatever you're getting by, and don't lose hope.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That really touched my heart.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
thank you, Michael, again for coming to Adjustment University. And thank you for our audience for tuning in. And I have more guests coming in. And I really appreciate everyone and have a wonderful night.
Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful night, Juri.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Stay blessed.